Shy by Shimmer Kakadash. And double honors to the elders and apostles of GMS who do real well, who did teach us this truth, who do real well. And peace and blessings to the hopeful election out there still enduring in the faith, man. Still walking in your faith. My name is Rapash Shawab, and I'm about to go ahead and just, I just felt it on my spirit, just sitting here thinking. I'm at the lake right now. It's a little late, and I'm walking, trying to clear my head, and I'm thinking about, what we about to walk into, you know. We ain't about to, it's like I was listening to the elder earlier. He was saying, we have to put on Yahweh Shai. We have to put on the same sacrifices that he had to, undergo and go through in order to, be made relevant to the Heavenly Father. And there's only a selected group of men, and hopefully like ladies that's actually doing that then take part into that suffering, you know. This is Ecclesiastes, it's Sirach, and what a blessing it is, that we've been brought back, man. I'm gonna start at verse 1. It says, Sirach 25:1, it says, "In three things was I beautified and stood up, in both God and men, the unity of brethren, the love of neighbors, and a wife." He said, and a wife that agreed together. I know, man. It says, three sorts of men my soul hateth. It says, and I am greatly offended at their life. It says, a poor man that is proud, and a rich man that is a liar. It says, an old adulterer that doteth. And see, when you really look at, the Roman Empire then, and then you look at the revival of Rome now, this modern day, it's a modern mystery Babylonian Empire, from the ancient empires of old. These same concepts of, just mindsets of the people. YNs, like the elder said, you had YNs back then too. You had harlots and hoes and all kind of, man. It's the same thing. It was just done differently back then. I'm just sitting there thinking like we're literally about to we're walking into the same sacrifices out of faith, man. We're not indulging in the world, and we're separate. We're separate, but we're separated not only by this truth and this understanding, but also by the Spirit. This is a very spiritual thing, and only the hopeful election is going to get it. At the end of the day, only the hopeful elect is going to get it, man. So we got to continue to walk in our light, whatever that may be, and continue to preach, teach, edify, exhort, rebuke, all of that, man. This is more so of an exhortation. I do a lot more so on the exhortation side, because I believe if you're truly disciplined, if you're true to this walk, man, the Lord will show you. He'll teach you everything you need to know by way of His prophets or by the Spirit. If you're sincere. But a lot of people don't be sincere in this walk, man. Like I said, they get you get 1-2 corrections, and they fall out. Instead of just making the proper rectifications that they got to make in order to, do what they got to do to win. If thou hast gathered nothing in thy youth, how canst thou find anything in thine age, man? And this is what we gathered in our youth. I hear the stories of brothers that came in when they was young, even some that came in later on and stuck with it, that, left their camps or left other camps or that left certain sects, just out of the pureness of faith and their integrity, man, because a lot of people don't have no integrity in this truth either. That you'll find out. It says, how comely a thing is judgment, for gray hairs and for ancient men to know counsel. How comely is wisdom of old men and understanding of counsel to men of honor, man. That's the men at Great Millstone, man. The elders and apostles and all the other affiliate camps too, man. That's your elders that stuck with that still believe, man. You had a lot of affiliates, man. There's people there's agents in every camp. There's non-believers in every camp, man. There's non-believers everywhere. There's fake people in this truth everywhere. There's good and bad in this everywhere, man. You got to be able to discern, But a lot of our people, they get a little status. You get a little status, or you get, certain qualities or dainties in this world, you go back into this world. You start to you indulge in the world more than this word. I'm in this word in my mind like 24/7 of the day, man. That's all I could think about. You know, that's really all I could think about now, man. Like I really desire nothing else other than to get to the heavenly, to get to the God, bro. Like you gotta really, there's a sense of crazy you gotta have to believe this, bro. And a lot of people they think that they know more than the Most High. You know, that manifest destiny shit don't exist to me, so I don't want to talk about none of that, man. You know, we believe in the Most High and His Son. You know, actually, let me get this. You know, get Psalm 38. In order to make yourself separate, it says Psalm 38, man. It says a Psalm of David to bring to remembrance. O Lord, rebuke me not in thy wrath, chasten. It says, neither chasten me in thy hot displeasure. It says, for thy arrows stick fast in me. It says, in thy hand presseth me sore. Is there no soundness in my flesh because of thine anger? Neither is there is no soundness in my flesh because of thy anger, neither is there any rest in my bones because of my sin. You know, we fell away from the heavenly. We messed up with the heavenly Father. But the thing about King David is he had integrity. He's one of those ancient men of old that had integrity. And this is what you gotta keep your integrity. If you've been true to this and you've been walking, the Lord knows you might be able to fool me, you might be able to fool everybody else, whoever, but the Lord knows if you truly believe this or not. He knows if you're truly ready, what you're gonna do in that end. I pray that whatever we gotta go through, He gives us the strength to get through it. If you're a true believer, and just go through it, man. That's the sacrifice that we gotta go through. We know what we gotta go through. What's coming down the pipe. We just at this point in time, it just behooving you to remain in this chamber here, pretty much. But more so, start building your mindset, like the elder said, into the mind of Yahweh Shah. You shouldn't. This all this is about to pass away. All this is about to pass away. This earth is about to pass away. Well, not this earth, but this world, is about to pass away, and the next world is about to be introduced. And that's the world. And everybody you got, like we said, you got all these. Let me see it real quick. Let me get it real quick. You got every kingdom, pretty much. You know what I'm saying? Telling a tale of who's gonna win and who's gonna be next. Who's gonna be the next rulers? Ain't none of these people gonna be the next rulers, man. The next ruler gonna be the Lord Yahweh Shah, man. Ain't gonna be no America. It ain't gonna be no China. It ain't gonna be no Korea. It ain't gonna be no Russia. It ain't gonna be no UK. It ain't gonna be none of them, bro. The next ruler is about to be in it. And see, we're looked at as crazy. Even if the psyops, that's been played on us in this government. We know that there's psyops being played on the government of the mind. Manipulating the mind using tactics and whatever. But we know that though because the Lord showed us things to who's spiritual. But at the end of the day, you got to be ready. I'm just doing this for you. I'm just thinking, it's just more like a letter of an exhortation of some sort. Psalm 70, it says, to the chief musician, a psalm of David, to bring into remembrance, make haste, O God, to deliver me out. Salakia says, make haste, O God, to deliver me. Make haste to help me, O Lord, Yahweh. Let them be ashamed and confounded that seek after my soul. Let them be turned backward. Let them be put into confusion that desire my hurt. And these are the prayers you should be, getting into the mindset of. But we know what we got to go through. If you got to go through, you got to go. But at the end of the day, the Lord's gonna have you, man. You got to know these things. These are the mindset you got to be putting on, man. Because King David was being chased around by his enemies too. Because you ain't gonna have everybody around you. To be honest with you, like that, whenever it really pop off, it's gonna be rough, bro. So it says, let them be ashamed and confounded that seek my soul. Let them be turned backwards and put into confusion that desire my hurt. Let them be turned back for a reward reward of their shame that say, ah, you know, they mock you. You know, that's us putting on Yahweh Shai, though. Was he not mocked? You know, you got to go through the same thing. You believe, you're right. But see, Christianity, they don't teach, they don't truly believe because they're not really in rehearsing our righteous acts. It's really more so a business to them. And we weren't Christians anyways, man. That goes about all the way back to the Roman Empire. That goes into the Strad of Turin, bro. They manipulated that whole word, I guess you could say that word, into making us, mocking us in a sense during the time of Constantine. All the believers that died, that was getting daggered, and you know, pretty much anybody that believed in Yahweh Shah was getting persecuted, bro. So Constantine, you know, he labeled them as that was a derogatory term back then. Really, is followers of the Messiah, followers of the Messiah, bro. You know, but see, in this world today, you know, us believing that, how much more are we gonna get mocked for that now? You know, if we got mocked and killed for that shit then, how much more are we gonna get mocked for that now? For our belief. And we see things happening, you know, you see it in your own life spiritually. You see the World War III brewing up, Isaiah 47, Isaiah 48, Revelation 17, Revelation 18. You know, we see that coming down the pipe. You know, you see certain plagues, certain mysteries and wonders being, you know, sound by the Spirit, bro. And this is the Heavenly Father trying to get everybody's attention. We understand what he's saying. And we making the necessary movements, I guess you could say the necessary moves we got to make. You know, a prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself, man. How do you hide yourself? Not literally. You hide yourself spiritually. You hide yourself in this truth, man, in this chamber. You got to understand this is sacred. You know, and a lot of people, they don't respect the Heavenly Father's Son first and foremost, or the Heavenly Father. Samuel will tell you that. You know, Samuel said, "It's not you." I mean, the God told Samuel, "It's not you that they have a problem with. It's me." So he gave him a king, but he gave him a king that was going to treat him bad. And then from that point on, you know, it was downhill from there. Just like in the wilderness, he purposely set them up, a lot of them, to fall. You know, so you gotta put on Yahweh Shah, man. Said, "Let all those that seek thee rejoice and be glad in thee. Let such as love thy salvation say continue. Let God be magnified. Let Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shah, be magnified." There ain't no other name. So anybody telling you that you know, Jesus, Yeshua, they don't study, man. You know what? See, everything that we talk about, we can prove because we study. You know, the letter, the vowel sound E was not a character introduced into the Egyptian Empire after it was taken over by the Greeks. So there was about, what, 500 to 900 years in between ancient Egypt and the Greek Empire. Whenever they changed, they even started using a E. So there was no E sound. So that cancels out Jesus. The U and O came after that. So what does that tell you? You know, but see, this is something that a lot of people aren't going to see. They play with the Lord, man. They don't really believe. They don't. It says, "Study to show thyself approved, a diligent man." They're not diligent in the Lord. They don't seek wisdom. But you who believe, you seek wisdom, man. So you're not going to be indulgent in this, man. You're gonna whatever comes down your pipe, you're gonna take it cheerfully, man. As Peter said, you're gonna take cheerfully, man, because we got foresight, you know. And I just want to get into that, man. Like I said, I was just sitting out here thinking. I go on walks a lot, so today it was just a little different because I'm actually thinking about one of the lessons I heard today. We're putting on that now, you know. So we gotta act like we know. You gotta act like you know. You gotta walk like you know. So that's all. You know, I give all honor and glory to you, the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, and His Son, Yahweh Shah. You know, and blessings and peace to the Barakatham, to all the brothers and the sincere brothers, man, true blue brothers, man, and sisters that hopefully like Lady and their children, wherever they may be. You know, hey, this is about to happen, and there's not a lot of them. There's not a lot of us, so shalom. Be patient.